All right, welcome. Oh, it's a special episode right here. It's a special episode. Not live, any of that other stuff. I get a chance to kick back with somebody that I've known for a number of years, and I don't think he knows it. You kind of indirectly has influenced me a little bit as I've watched him do some of his stuff on YouTube. So first off, just a quick introduction, Marcellus Wiley. What's going on, bro?
Oh, my man. Sliwa is in the building. I don't know how many times you've heard that of late, but my God, it's so good to be with you, Alan.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you getting on. Okay, so this is what I mean about indirectly, and then we'll just kind of go wherever this goes.
Yeah.
So I remember about a year ago, I had hit you up and I'd sent you a text and I was like, hey, you had obviously already kind of started on your independent journey in the independent space.
Yeah.
And I've had a YouTube channel, but it was never my primary anything. I was, I had 710 for a number of years. And, but I remember hitting you up. I'm like, you got some time to chat here? I mean, I just kind of curious to see what you're doing. Right. And then eventually you had hit me back with a text and you had asked me, how are things going? What are you going to end up doing? Things like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm still at 710, but I don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 days. I'm going to read you a text you sent me. Uh-oh. And again, this is the thing I like because sometimes people don't know what kind of impact they can have on another person. September 5th, I hit you with a text and I had just made the announcement that I was, okay, I'm moving on. I'm not going to be at 710 anymore. I'm going to do my own thing. Right.
Okay.
You had hit me with it. And I had mentioned to you, you had mentioned to me, you said, excited for your future. I mentioned, I'm like, I gotta be honest, a little intimidating. Here's your quote. That's just your eyes adjusting to the light. I'm like,
Daniel, son.
Like Marcellus dropping bars on me here. What's going on here? Like Marcellus about to go into. So you don't know this, but I wanted you to know. Sometimes you can have an indirect impact by just watching somebody else what they're doing. You had some kind words and you were nice enough to basically kind of help with, hey, it will figure itself out. Go about your journey. So I appreciate you.
Oh, man, I appreciate you just circling back to that moment and what it had in terms of impact on you at that moment, those forks in the road. It's happened to me so many times. People have helped me, mentored me in those moments. And I think we all have tasted what the recipe of success is. And in there, it's full of doubt. That's the flower, lots of doubt. Perseverance. You have to stay the course. You have to go within yourself to find out what you want out there, and you got to go in here to get it. And once you do that, if you stay that course, chances are it's going to work out. I think most of the time it doesn't work out because we stop short of right there, that threshold, that barrier where the success lies. So I think the wins are right there on the other side of those losses. And I just knew that from my own successes, whether it's football or academics or, sports media, whatever that is, we all have our list, but the recipe is pretty similar for all of us. We have to work hard. We have to manage the doubt until you get to where you want to go. And then it gets into a sort of autopilot where you just get into refining and refining those skills and trying to take it to the next level. So glad you're on that journey, man. I'm still on it with you.
I think one of the things you said on there too is welcome to the dark side. I'm like, what happened? What happened to the dark side there? By the way, I like that as well. I like that. That's how you describe the independent space there. Okay. So for those who know, obviously Marcellus Wiley, who has been in the game for a long time, has worked at ESPN, has worked at Fox Sports. And now you can catch what he's doing predominantly on YouTube. Marcellus Wiley, Dat Dude TV. And I appreciate his time for coming on and joining the show here. So, Marcellus, I got so many questions, and part of this just has to do with your kind of journey, how, you're behind some of the biggest networks that you could think of. Mm-hmm. You're behind some of the biggest and loudest microphones that you can possibly imagine. If I'd have told you maybe 3 years ago, 5 years ago, you would be out on your own and doing your own thing, and that you left some of these huge corporations that obviously offer such big platforms. If I'd have told you 3 years ago, 5 years ago that you're going to be an independent space, would that shock you, or was there always kind of intrigue of trying to do something on your own?
Is there another word beyond shocked? I would have been, I thought you were insane. I was like, what are you talking about? I was getting fat and full, on those big platforms. As we say, they put me in the velvet coffin, which means, I was dying slowly, but hey, they were rubbing my belly and it felt good on the outside. So I was just in that position. And I say that because what I was going through, sports media was shifting. I knew I had plateaued, and it was sad to say that to myself. And it was even more sad when others didn't realize it and thought I could become a Stephen A. Smith at the time, or Skip Bayless at the time, Colin Cowherd. But I knew I couldn't. I didn't have that in me. I didn't have that mental makeup. I didn't have that skill set. Whether it was hot takes or just really leaning into the entertainment more than the education. I'm just not that guy. And I don't like to say it a lot because it comes off as a slight. But in reality, I knew what it took to become top of industry. And I knew I would never do that. So I knew I was kind of always going to be stuck in that middle class. And hey, it was an upper middle class. Like, I was living the life. But I was like, man, they're not going to ever fully respect me for the way I do it. I'm detailed. I'm nuanced. I like to discuss. I don't want to debate. You're not wrong. You just may not be as right, or I may not be as right. Like, everything is this integration. Black and white makes silver. And I knew that was my formula. And I knew that wasn't going to get rewarded by sports media. You got 18 seconds to make somebody think you hate the other thing. And if you don't, then what are we talking about? Why are you even so passionate about it? You don't even hate it, right? So I knew that. And so I was just like, fine, I'll ride this till the wheels fall off. And then a few things happened. Obviously, the shifting of the sports media. Pat McAfee's success changed my mind a little bit. I was like, damn, if he could do it like that, what could I do? Also, the fact that I knew there was a disruption in sports media. They were cutting jobs. They didn't know which way was up. They didn't know a future that was going to look intact like it was. So I knew that sooner or later they were going to come at me and knock on my door and say, hey, it's time to move on. But I think most importantly, my relationship with my son. My son now 9 years old. So 5 years ago, was 4 years old. Becoming a little guy, loving sports. Football, basketball. He was touching every sport. A talented athlete. And I started to listen to him and his friends talk. And they were all in love with Cooper Kupp at the time. That's when the Rams were winning championship. Loving Cooper Kupp. And I remember having to go to work one day, and it wasn't a day we were being flattering to Cooper Kupp. So we had to talk bad about Cooper Kupp. I don't know if he was hurt again or whatever. So you fast forward, my kids love Cooper Kupp, all the kids I coach. I'm over here like, I had to go kill Cooper Kupp today. I ain't think twice about it. Get to our championship game. We win our championship game. And the kids are running off, excited. I'm pumped. We're chilling. And then they run back to me. They're like, Coach, Cooper Kupp. And I'm thinking, all right, y'all finally have made it. Y'all like Cooper Kupp. Y'all did it. Yeah. And they're like, no, he's here. And I was like, oh. And they were like, Coach, can you introduce us to him? They all nervous. I was like, yeah, I got you. Now, I never met Cooper Kupp in my life, but I also knew, we're in the fraternity. He ain't going to be mean, right? So I walk up to him. He's like, what's up, Wiley? What's up, Cooper? Get my kids take a picture. Yeah. All this nice stuff, right? And in that moment, I had an inner body experience, not outer. I went deep inside myself. I was like, man, I'm in a world where I'm not only taking these kids' posters off their walls. Like, if they're watching that show, they're like, what? Cooper Kupp is amazing. What are you talking about? But two, the industry was enticing me and only going to reward me if I continue to do that. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to talk about it in a real way, in a relative way. So that was the moment where I was like, yeah, this is going to be different going forward. And then negotiations were weird at Fox. Of late, I've heard they were even weirder than I thought, but we'll talk about that. So everything adds up, and I'm a big believer. I believe that the universe, God, whatever you're thinking of, it talks to you. You just got to listen. And the way you listen is you look at your life, you look at the things around you. They speak, they have energy, they have words for you. And I started to see all those opportunities and all of those incidents tell me that there was something new for me. And now I'm here.
With that in mind, I think it's, I think because, sometimes it might not be the plan, but when the dust settles, I guess for you, when did you realize? So you start doing your stuff on YouTube, and man, I'll get into some of that details because I'm curious about what your day-to-day looks like. When did you realize, yeah, I think I made the right choice here? Like, I think this is because I'm sure there were times, I mean, hell, when you were texting me, you're squinting, just give it a second. The light is going to show. I'm sure you probably had a similar, there are times where you're sitting back and you're like, okay, this is going to take a second. But when did you realize, oh no, there's something here, and this allows me to be maybe my more true, authentic self, and you have the creative ability literally from start to finish to do whatever it is that you feel is the right thing to do? When did you feel this is the right decision, and I'm heading in the right direction?
In general, I think there's a little difference between belief and faith. So if you look at my life, and it took me to really examine myself to think and to know I could do this. I like the road less traveled. I've always been that guy. I grew up in Compton, and let's just say I don't live up to the stereotype. I'm not even attracted to the stereotype. I don't think street life is cool. I don't think it's cool to be gangster. I don't think it's cool to be tough and rough. I think it's better to laugh more than to sit there and scare somebody. I don't have fights. I've never had an adult fight. People have stepped on my shoes, bumped me, and I'm like, whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're not gonna beat me up if we really fight. So like, move on. So I like the road less traveled. I go from those humble beginnings to Columbia, and then at Columbia, as crazy as it is to go from where I'm from to Columbia, it's crazier to go from Columbia to the NFL. But I was like, I could do this, and everyone else was like, no, you can't. And I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not listening to you. It's about what's inside of me and what I can make of it. So then you go from an NFL career that was good. I keep it real. It wasn't great. I had great years. I didn't have a great career. A lot of good accolades, etc. But I jumped the line. I got in front of the line of Hall of Famers to be on TV. So I'm like, when it came time for me now to make another step, why would I lose confidence in the guy who made all those big leaps, right? So I had a faith, but I didn't believe it was going to work fully. I was like, man, this is tough, because the beauty of a network is actually in the word network. Like, we can plug into everything, and like that, it works.
Sure.
And when it's just you, man, you're on the phone with a dude who's going to flake. You're over there talking to a young lady who's going to be late. You're over there talking to some company that has lost your order. And then you're like, oh, this is different, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm used to NFL jobs. I'm used to ESPN jobs. I'm used to Fox jobs. Them checks come on time every day. You're like, yeah, my money is here. You get into this private space, independent space, man, it's on you. Mm-hmm. You eat what you kill, and good luck cleaning it up. So I've had my ups and downs in terms of the volatility. The toughest thing is everyone's not going to work like you. So I know I'm going to work. I get up at 4 a.m, 5 a.m. every day, ready to go after going to bed at 12:01. But I can't expect my team to do that. I can't expect the staff to do that, because one, this is not their vision. This is not their goal. This is just work for them. And to me, it's much deeper. So I think the most troubling thing is just managing those emotions when they pop up, and they always will pop up. I don't care how successful you are. But the moments, a Dan Lebatard texting me, a Jason Whitlock texting me, people I've worked with and respected, people, not only people saying, man, I like it. I like what you're doing, man. I love it. But more importantly, the lack of pushback. Like people were like, oh man, I'm rocking with you, Wiley. And that's one thing I wanted to do. I was a little insecure in terms of, were people rocking with me, rocking with Max and Michelle Beto and me, or were they rocking with me and Fox and ESPN, or they just love Marcellus? And I had to make sure of it. So I gave them the most boring, lo-fi show I could give them right in front of this camera. We're going to talk. And people were like, all right, let's talk. And I'm glad it worked and it's catching traction.
That, by the way, that's when you know it's real, it's authentic, like you just said, right? Because they're coming to hang out with you, period. Something happens in the world of sports. They want your opinion. And by the way, you don't have to be, I think something that, you feel like, I got to be first on. I got to hurry up. I got to crack a mic. If they like you, you want to come on a day later, 2 days later, talk about 3 days later. I want his opinion. And I think, you're a phenomenal example of that. I love what you said about, when you're working with company, corporation, and there's, obviously an adjustment period. I remember, so I'm just leaving ESPN, and I had known maybe 10 days before my contract was done. I'm like, all right, time's done at 7:10. We didn't make an announcement until later, but I'm just watching the days. And August 31st, I remember getting an email. It's like, hey, August 31st, right around that midnight time. Yeah, remember that insurance that you had? Yeah,
yep.
That's over.
They roll.
Al, I don't know if you know, but August 31st midnight, you're on your own, brother. And it was kind of, I say that, listen, they're running a business, they're running a company. Like at the end of the day, you are just an employee, and that's what you are. And that's not to say you can't create deep relationships with people and everything else. But that moment, just that single moment, was like, oh yeah, all that stuff's gone now. That stuff of whatever you were accustomed to, comfortable with. The word is comfortable, right? I love what you said a little bit earlier about just
that velvet coffin, man.
That's a great way to put it.
You die. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because do you see yourself? I want to get into the actual content, because I'm curious if you thought that was what the vision was going to be. But with that in mind, because you've now kind of gone on your own, do you ever see yourself working for, just hypothetically, it's not just ESPN and Fox, there's NBC Sports. You see what's going on now with the streaming services and everything else. Do you ever see yourself getting back into the space in some capacity?
I don't see myself, if opportunities and offers come. And some have, but it has to make sense, and it has to be in addition to what I'm doing here. I would never abandon what I'm building and
100%.
What I have going. So, that could be undermining to what a network wants, but purely just network, I don't see me fitting in there. I was already there for 20 years, damn near, and I didn't really fit. I had more co-hosts than anybody. It was always me and we and this, and our shows were always great. I won't even lie. Max and Marcellus was amazing. Sports Nation was amazing, right? Speak for Yourself was amazing, and ratings supported. But there was never that push like you would expect with the success of those shows, right? Like Sports Nation. We're in LA and, Bristol's there, and they haven't even built up New York, and we're like just forgotten. I'm like, no, people love this show. It's first. Sure. And, knowing that they didn't pump into it what they could have. And then, some exec would start a new show that would go up and come down and fail. And I'm like, you got one here already. And it wasn't, I'm not talking selfishly. I'm talking about for Michelle Beto. I'm talking about for Carissa Thompson, Max Kellerman, right? Like all these Jason Whitlock, like these people were there. So when I've had that experience to go back to it as an employee, I can't trust them. So it would have to be a different animal than that. It would either have to be the biggest show they already got and I already can see that is just leaking with money, or it would have to be something to license out what I'm doing. And that's my goal, is to license out what I'm doing. One, just continue to bring in viewers, audience, subscribers to what I am doing, and then just continue to make shows. This is an efficiency model. It's cost effective. I'm in my home studio. I got
Sure.
another studio in my basement and could build out a couple more. And I'm like, if I can do that and people want to watch them, let's keep launching them. And as long as the economic model makes sense, where am I going? If I can keep my lights on, and I'm in a different place. I'm not trying to buy a yacht. I just want to speak the truth. And y'all make sure I can pay my light bill. And then if that can work, if I can give you some entertainment, you can pay my light bill, we can rock together for life. And I'll be 80 years old up here saying, hydration situation. That's my goal, man.
Well, that's and I love the model because you said something earlier, and some people that I've connected with over time where they might be mentors or they're just giving you advice. What do they say? They say, go where your energy is.
Yes.
Things that give you energy.
Yeah.
That's not something that's monetary. That's not something that, that's something that you will do anything because it's waking you up. It's giving you whatever that confidence is. And if you got, or the ability to, if you, in your situation, you're getting time to spend time with your family and you get the opportunity to still have as big of numbers as some of these networks that are out there. You're very, very unique with some of the topics that you put together. And oh, by the way, my family's upstairs. That there's something about all of that. And I'm sure you've done this before. I think I've seen it. This was a while back. You had gone on vacation with the fam, still put out the content. There's you were able to kind of mix all this together. That's a beautiful world. And it's not, I think at the end of the day, Marcellus, what you said, if it's not forced, and I'm sure what gives you more and more energy is the fact that sometimes you go on and you're like, damn, that many people watch this. Damn, that many people like this. Damn, that many people commented on this. That is probably more inspiring than any paycheck that comes in. It's not to say that the paycheck's not important, but that people actually like what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not you just trying to fit into the outline of success and American dream and all these things. And a lot of it's materialistic. It's more of you're checking your essence, like you're expressing who you really are. And that payoff, for that to come back to you on a daily basis, and you can feel like, wow, I am truly in tune with life instead of just chasing things. And I've been there before. So playing football or being on sports shows at big networks, I know what that feels like. So I'm able to now look at that space and call it like I see it. I'm not jealous. I'm not bitter. I'm not mad because I did that. There's no one out there that could talk bad about me and really have a leg to stand on. I'm like, what? I had a show before you were born, or I have a show that was bigger than yours, or your show's bigger. That's great. Now listen to yourself. What are you saying? I don't look at it like that. I look at it like I want to do what I want to do because I'm allowing you to do what you want to do. And let's just go do it. I think that's the most beautiful thing you can do in this world is when you can check your own boxes by first making your own box. And I always tell people religiously, the only box I want to be in is no box. So if I wake up and I'm like, I want to talk about football, I'm going to do it. Then I wake up the next day, I'm like, man, did you hear what Stephen A said? I'm going to do it. And everyone's like, dang, I thought that was your friend. I was like, he is my friend. And I speak the truth to my friends. And if my friends don't like the truth, then they don't like being my friends, right? Simple as that. I don't care what these guys feel about it because I know I'm not lying. And I'm not telling it all because I never unload the whole clip. So I just make sure that I'm saying things that I know to be true. I know that can touch people, connect with people, and inspire people because I don't think that only Alan and I should be texting back and forth, getting inspired. Let's group text the world and get everybody pumped up.
Okay, perfect transition here because what you said, you're going to talk about whatever it is that you feel that's on your mind. Yeah. So when you were starting the channel, if I'd have told you, how long have you had the channel now?
I started going daily February 8th, 2023. So it'll be 2 years next month.
Unreal to have that kind of growth in 2 years, by the way. Unreal. That is, I mean, hats off to you, compliments to what you're doing. But if I'd have told you 2 years ago that 2 years from now, I'm going to look at your videos, and here are going to be the topics. Okay.
Mhm.
Ocho Cinco ain't feeling Shannon Sharp. Jason Whitlock exposes Cam Newton. FS1 fallout and falsehoods. What your original vision was, did you think you were going to come on here when you started and just break down sports? Kind of take a page of what you were doing, but you're going to do it on your own now. You can go as long as you want. Um, what I think makes your channel so unique is you took all these sports fans behind the curtain and you're breaking down the people, breaking down the athletes. That's not all you're doing, but you're getting into stuff that, first off, there's nobody with more or better credentials who can do it. But that's what you're doing now on a day-to-day basis. Did you have any idea that's where it was going to go? Or did you think originally like, yeah, I'm just going to talk sports?
This is not where I thought I was going to go. But the first thing I did think was I'm not going to talk just sports. And I had made a career 15, 20 years of dodging that bullet because I didn't like sports like everyone assumed I did. Like I was bored with like X's and O's. Like every show I did was a personality show. Even if it was designed to be a sports show, let me get on it. Oh, I'm talking about the night before. I'm talking about the club. I'm talking about the young lady I just met. Like I'm talking about everything because I'm a sociology major. I just love people and patterns of life and behaviors. Shut up about third and goal. Like go somewhere else with that. Go to the website, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got started at ESPN. I'm on NFL Live. I'm a week or two in, and the head of NFL Live, Seth Markman, calls me in his office. He says, "Hey, Marcellus, just want to tell you, you're not long for this show." And I'm thinking, damn, I just got here. You're already about to fire me? He said, and that's a good thing. He said, your personality, you're not going to be on this show long. I don't know what's out there, but you're going to change it up and something's going to pop. And Sports Nation came a year or two later from that. So that's the point. When I left for independent, I was like, do not do sports because you don't like sports like that. Like, don't fight it. Because the fight was, oh, God, I'm by myself. I'm independent. Let me do what everyone assumes I should do. And that's going to hit and get traction and third and goal. Yeah, people care about that. And I was like, don't do it. But all right. So then my other voice was like, so what you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. And it was like, all right. Then I said, just talk and watch what happens in this world and talk from your perspective. And next thing I started to realize was, oh, I got something. Not only can I talk sports, will I talk sports, but I will talk about those who cover sports. Because for 20 years, I know all of these people. I know the formula. I know how the sausage is made. And more importantly, I know when they're faking the funk, when they're biased, when they're just leading you astray. And I was like, we got something. And then those text messages, not the audience was growing, but the texts were flying. People were hitting me like, bruh, keep that going. Whatever you broke that down. Because so many of us take care of each other. You ever see an interview, like somebody just comes on the show with you, Alan, or whatever, and because they're a guest, they say a joke. You know it ain't funny, but you're just trying to get through the interview and get them comfortable. I stopped doing that. When I was at Fox, ESPN, I was like, no, that ain't funny. And that became the funny part because people were like, Marcellus don't care. And I'm like, yeah, I do care, actually. I just don't think that was funny. And he doesn't either. So, like, then he like, yeah, that wasn't that funny, huh? Man, what's up with you? And then we kicked it from there. So I was like, I'm bringing that instead of us just smoothly going along, ice skating on the surface of every topic just so we can all get through the segment. I was like, nah, let's keep it real. What you really feeling? What you really up to?
Yeah, and it's kind of, I find myself too, because I might have been one in the past where it's like, nah, I'm not interested in that. Now I find myself, I'm like, well, what does Marcellus have to think? What is Marcellus's take on this? Or maybe Marcellus has some type of insight or information because he worked in that building, or this happened, or whatever the case is. But yeah, I was curious every time I saw your content come out. I'm like, I wonder if you always thought, hey, this is how I'm going to break it down. This is why my channel will be a little bit different or unique than some of the other channels out there, because you are a sports commentator, sort of, not really, but you're just in the field talking about whatever's associated in the sports field. And I'm not sure, I'll ask you this, I guess, from a content perspective.
Mhm.
In a couple of years from now, what do you think will be the evolution of your show? Do you think you start getting into much more of the political game? How much of it do you think it's going to continue to evolve?
I think it will evolve in part without even shifting or having another lane added to it. Like hydration situation is going to always be me breaking down film of not only sports, but people. Because if you listen to people, see, this is my thing. I like my godmother always says to me, she said, damn, you talk a lot, but you listen more. And no lie, one of my superpowers is, working with Max, everybody used to say, Max talks so much. They never used to catch because I listen so much. I'm letting Max just go. And I'm like, go, bro, keep going. And then I come in, fewer words, but hey, we will meet somewhere in the middle. So I'm always like that. I don't need to talk. I know what I'm thinking. I don't need to tell you, right? So I'm in that position. I know that I can keep my show the same way and just continue to let it grow, because these sports media cats are stars. And worse, some of them think they stars and they're not, because the star is the athlete to me. So we're all there as commercials for the athlete and the live sporting event. That's what networks are doing. ESPN and Fox, they buy up the rights so we can have a live event on Sunday football. And all we need is all y'all to be commercials, cheerleaders. And the cheerleaders in sports media think they're athletes. They think they're the stars. I'm like, oh, you think you? All right. I'm going to show you what a star feels like, because they attack athletes, they criticize them, they praise them, whatever. I do the same. I praise y'all, I criticize y'all, I attack you. And they like, damn, Wiley, chill. And I'm like, nope, because you won't chill on Dak Prescott. You won't chill on LeBron, so I ain't chilling on you, Stephen A. And they like, well, get your own content. I said, get yours. Stop talking about Dak. Stop talking about LeBron. They don't want to play this game with me. I ain't go to the same school they did. So I'm like, look, leave me alone, man. I'm just going to keep this heat on you. And I don't want them to respond. They think I do. I'm like, no. Because now I got you under my thumb. You say something, I dare you. All right. So it's just that kind of fun game that I play with all the guys that I like. And I think the show stays the same. The way I'm going to evolve in different ways is different shows. We just launched our second episode of On the Rocks. On the Rocks is that sports show. It's me, former pro athletes versus NARPs. And NARPs are non-athlete regular people like you, Sliwa. You're a NARP. A NARP is somebody who just didn't go pro. It ain't a diss. It's just like, we got to find a line to separate y'all. So y'all went pro, y'all didn't. Y'all know sports, but you didn't go pro. You walk around like you know sports because you played it, but do you really know what's going on and how to express it, etc.? So I've been challenged, beaten by so many NARPs in sports debates and topics. I'll walk down the street, walking past Tom's Urban back in the days, and some cat will stop me and break down a segment. I'm like, I had no idea. And I'm like, why doesn't that guy get a platform? Why didn't that guy get an opportunity to say that? I get it, and I do it half as good as him, and everyone loves me. I'm like, y'all don't know the half. So now I'm trying to integrate those two and let them work out their issues, how they hate athletes, why fans suck, and let's just talk through it.
Yeah, and here's the beauty with the independent space, and we didn't have this in the past. You don't need to go buy a radio station or start your own network in order to do this, right? So like you're talking about, there could be people like me. You're right. I was never a pro athlete, but for some reason, I might have an audience that wants my take on the NBA or the Lakers or whatever the case is.
Yeah, we
can. There's nobody that can't do it. I mean, it just comes down to, obviously consistency, being there on a night in, night out basis. But that's a great way to put it. Okay. My favorite topic that I'm going to get to, that I have yet to get to, and I appreciate your time very much. And I'm upset at myself that I went 34 minutes and 33 seconds without talking to you about it. Okay.
Don't you say it.
Actually, I have no idea if you know where I'm going, but
Clippers?
Oh, no.
Okay,
None of that stuff. None of that stuff.
Because we killing it right now. We balling. Let me stop.
Here's the funny thing, and I've said this before on my show: the fact that the Clippers had a better record than the Lakers, and they didn't have Kawhi all season, tells you a little bit about the direction of the Lakers. But anyways, we'll keep going there. I've been in sports talk radio basically my entire life since I was a kid. Growing up in Southern California, specifically down in San Diego, I've been listening to sports talk radio my entire life. And then I got into the industry when I was in college. I did an internship, and then I've basically been in the industry up until August 31st, 2024 was the first time I stepped out of sports talk radio, even though I'm still doing a version of it, however you want to look at it. Yeah. Of all my years being around the business, of all my years doing what I was doing and consuming it, by far, the best radio show that I ever listened to was Max and Marcellus. And it wasn't, listen to me when I tell you this, it was, I don't even know how to describe it, but damn, did you guys take over the market overnight when you guys, obviously got together. My question to you is, and I always see people ask, and I'm sure you get it all the time about that show.
Yeah, every day.
Why were the two of you so perfect together? Because I don't think you could ever put that on a sheet of paper and try to figure out, hey, how can you? There's either this unbelievable, genuine chemistry or there is not. Why do you think you and Max put together such a great radio show for the time that you guys were together?
Man, it's so good to hear that, especially from you, because I know you're in the business. This is a genuine conversation, and I respect your opinion because I hear it every day. And a lot of times I'll stop someone and say, why? Because the why is what's outstanding. Like, people are like, I love the show. I don't even know why. Like it's just crazy. And you just said it too. And I'm like, I stop. People say, why? And so Max, I think one day we were trying to figure it out ourselves. But Max always wanted these billboards, and we never got it. To my point earlier of we never got the support we wanted. We were like the biggest thing, and we knew it because everyone kept telling us that. The ratings were great, and we were like, dang, people are like, we had a cult following to the point where every single day in every single comment of all my videos, Max and Marcellus coming soon, right? We were like, Max said, get these billboards put up. One is a national typewriting champion, and one is a rapper. I'm not the rapper. He's not the national typewriting champion. And I think if you start there, you understand us. We both went to Columbia at the same time, crazy enough, never ran into each other. I was the goody two-shoe athlete, which is an oxymoron in itself. But I was like, I got out of Compton. I am at Columbia. Let me not get in no trouble. Let me try and make this NFL. So all the cats who didn't have that vision, like they wanted to hang out, smoke, kick it, drink too much, whatever, party, I was like, nah, I know you, we folks, but nah, I didn't play Sega Genesis with them. They be up 4 hours a night playing Sega. I'm like, hey, hell no, I'm going to the crib. So I was on that path. Max was on that other path, right? The rapper path, right? So I go to Columbia after him and graduate before him. Max was in trouble and all kind of crazy stuff, right? Whatever. So you fast forward, next thing I know, he's calling me to do his radio show in New York, which was a big radio show, but I'm an active player. So then we kind of connected like, oh, we both went to Columbia, but we didn't kick it. All right, now we got something here. Then you fast forward and we do the show together. What it is since we're both intellectuals, let's just say that, we both are curious of thought. Like, you can't go to Columbia and leave and not be curious of thought. They force it in you. You be thinking about all kinds of stuff, right? So we're both always like curious. We're both discussers, not debaters, naturally. We want to hear your side. And I think other than that, we just know that people are misjudging us from hello. He knows that people are not going to think he's as cool and hip and down as he is, and he knows that everybody gonna assume that with me, and I'm trying to be corny and jovial and goofy. Like we just opposites. And so then he's from Watts. He makes that up because I'm from Compton. And then we play into it, and we give each other the room to play into it. I think of all his partners, I've seen Stephen A. and, saw him before and doing Around the Horn on it. I gave him the best setting to allow him to be himself. Because in part, not only am I going to listen, but more importantly, they're assuming that it's me who acts like that. So you already, through association, gonna get protected. They're like, oh, yeah, he hanging with Marcellus. I'm like, no. I don't act like that. That's him. And then they be like, what? And then they let him go because they like, he with the big homie who's cool with it. And it's almost like I gave him a pass and he gave me a pass. I wanted the pass to go to Columbia. Hey, y'all leave me alone. I'm smart. I'm no dumb jock. And he get the pass like, yeah, little homie cool. He can come over here and hang with us, cuz. And dog, we just act goofy. We both goofy too, but he's a nervous goofy. I'm like, I ain't scared of nothing. And he like, Max on TV is not Max on radio. Max on TV, like, I'm like, man, you little mummy. So I think we both just integrated perfectly because we both allowed each other to be our true selves, where this world was telling us who we should have been.
It's such a unique combination where I remember, and I know you've probably heard this story 100 different times, but I remember one time I was driving around. So for those I was at 710 ESPN for, a number of years. I in total, I was there 15 years, but 10 years I was on the sales side before I was on behind the mic. Yep. And when you guys started doing what you were doing, I was like this. I'm like, yep, I'm going to go ahead and just focus on that show. And, from my perspective, I just saw, you don't typically see this type of chemistry. And that chemistry was so unforced, right? Yeah. When you guys would go, I don't know how long you guys would go talking about what's worse, cockroaches or ants. Okay. An hour and a half would go by and I'm still listening to this. And you got listeners calling like with passionate opinions. I'm like, you can't make this up. No. When you tell your story, when you got your first NFL check and you were riding your bike, I think to the bank, if I got it right. But the way Max would set the story up and kind of weave in and out, man, it was so special. And I love that you still get so many people that tell you that, because here's the reality is, for the most part, just people in Los Angeles got to kind of consume that on a day-to-day basis. Yep. And I think it could easily have been, obviously a national show and everything else. Just out of curiosity, do you ever think in your head, hey, maybe there's a way I can work with Max in some capacity down the road? Now, obviously, having the ability in an independent space, you really don't need anybody else to make things like that happen. Are those things that have crossed your mind? Have you guys ever had a conversation like that?
Oh, yeah, definitely crossed my mind and crossed my line. Max and I still talk, and we talk about that as well, like the inevitable. Like sooner or later, we're going to have to grab that golden ticket out our back pocket and play it. We know we are. We don't know when. And when that happens, it's going to be a great day because we have such a built-in audience. And to your point, it's limited. Like, we should have been national. They were talking about making us national, and then they will always balk at it. And, I was like, those national shows couldn't compete with us. We were outrating their national shows with a local radio station. And I was like, this is it. When that happens, when you're local and you're doing better than national, you're like, and you won't give us one? It's like, okay. So now we're in a space where we can kind of like right those wrongs and not have any excuses. So if there's a prediction, it could happen this year, but I would bet by 2026, God willing, we're still here. We're going to get something rolling because Max will be back at it doing his thing. And I will be even further down the road, and it'll be a good opportunity for us to do it because we can control it. We can do our own thing without asking for everyone. Forget national now. You do it on YouTube, whatever. It's global. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it too. Like you just said, you don't need an approval from anybody, and and however authentic you guys were within a ESPN space, imagine how authentic you guys would be literally in an authentic space. You can't get any more authentic. I'll tell you just one quick story here because I've had a lot of love for Max over the years as well, and
Yeah.
one of the first calls I got when I left 710 was Max.
Oh,
Max
there it
picks
is.
up the phone, shoots me a call, everything good. We've always kind of kept in touch, had this kind of distant respect for each other.
Yeah.
But there was a time that I had texted him and you and I were texting, and I swear on my text message it said Max Marcellus. Those were the last two, right? Those were like the last two. I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, what more signs? What more signs do we need
Let's
here
go. Let's
in
go.
in in regards to that?
Seriously.
Well, listen, Marcellus, I can't tell you, how appreciative I am of your time. And I think, sometimes, especially in my world, because I am more, and we'll see kind of how my channel evolves and everything else, but it is kind of more heavy on the sports side. But
Hmm.
to have conversations like this is our world now. And I think people, they don't mind that long form. They don't mind hey, as long as you're telling me something that's a little bit unique, it's a little bit different. And I think, your story specifically of what you're doing, where you're going. One of the things I respect most about your channel is it's not just about what is Marcellus doing for views or any of that other stuff. You do have a bigger vision. I know it's one of the things you promote all the time. It's projecttransition.org.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, and I know you're raising literally thousands of dollars to try to help as best as you can. What do you always say? Always the little kids, you're
The
talking
itty
about
bitties.
the itty bitties.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit how you've used your platform to also say, well, if I'm going to have this platform, I'm going to try to use it the right way, aside from breaking down athletes or other people in the industry. Tell those who are listening what exactly projecttransition.org is, and if they want to help and be a part of it, how they can be a part of it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's an opportunity, Project Transition, to educate and empower the underserved. And underserved is every one of us. We all have a list of things that we need. I don't care how affluent you are. And it's amazing. It came to me in educating and empowering even the affluent kids, because you ask a kid, where's mommy? Dubai. Where's daddy? Cabo. Who brought you to practice? Nanny. And I'm like, wow, everyone from the outside think that kid has it all. And obviously kids from underserved communities, like where I was from, they have a lack of resources. It's pretty obvious what they're needing. So what we do is we meet them through experiences and exposures. I basically reverse engineered all of the success stories that I knew. And I said, one thing in common, because they're all from different places and they all took different roads, is that they got exposed to something that made them want to chase it. And I'm like, I got to expose these kids. So they need to meet Alan Sliwa. They need to meet a Max Kellerman. They need to meet people who are living a life, a dream around sports, and didn't have to play sports at the highest level. Because these kids that get lost in just seeing me and think, oh, I'm going to play football. But there are many other avenues, and some avenues more lucrative than even being on the field, if you can believe that. So I'm trying to expose these kids to owners of teams, general managers of teams, people who don't take hits and gets millions of dollars every single year, etc. So through that education and empowerment, we start to see that these kids start to strive towards excellence. And it's been beautiful. We have an NFL skills camp where we teach life lessons through the game of football. We're having it in Inglewood on the 25th at the Park of Champions, unless the fires make us postpone it, because a lot of people are affected right now, and I want to be sensitive to our community. But we continue to just give them experiences and exposures, take them out their locale so they can see those different pathways to success. And I'm inspired to do that because I think I'm unique. We all are, but I'm not special. And I try to remind these kids I'm not special. Now, what happened with me is I was a kid who kept meeting the forks in the road and trying to go right. I'm trying to help these kids understand the same thing. Just go right. as many times as you can and stick to that path, because you can make your dreams a reality. So when they look at you as a finished product, they think, man, this guy made it there, did this. Oh my God, I can't do that. And I'm like, I used to sit in that seat. What are you talking about? I used to stand right there. What are you talking about? I was a dusty little dude full of doubt, and I'm here. And you can get there too, or even further. So I'm just trying to make sure these kids are reminded that everything they want out there is in here, and they got to go get it.
Well, this is a good example, because you're doing something that you're genuinely trying to help the community and kids and everything else. But I'll tell you how this can also have influence. I got a channel as well, and I have yet to come up with some type of a program where whatever it is that I'm doing, I got to make sure that, well, outside of trying to get views and putting up content and everything else, is there an organization that I'm affiliated with, or that I'm representing, or that I'm starting? So you can indirectly have that type of influence. So hopefully the next time you and I connect, I'm telling you about some kind of project that I'm involved in. So you keep doing what you're doing, and it can have an influence without you even knowing it. So
I love that. Start the ballers of LA. Let's me and you. You got two people down. Look how big our organization is already. Even though I got my hair growing, which is wild for me. Oh, don't do that. I'm going skiing this weekend supposedly, and I'm like, I'm about to grow it in. It's gonna be cold out there.
I'm tell you quick funny story, and then we're gonna let you go. I grew my bald head out for like 2 weeks. Okay. And you know, usually when you got a bald head, you're basically shaving your head. I don't know how often, but a lot more than anybody else with hair. Okay.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
People don't understand that the troubles, the tribulations, the difficulties. No, but so I go like 2 weeks without shaving my head, and I'm like, well, what does it actually look like? And I had my girl take like a photo. I'm like, is there an opportunity? Because I'm feeling some right here. Marcellus, it was like a cul-de-sac. Like what I was looking at, I'm like, bro, you gotta shave this thing and let's just move on. Those days are over. Yeah, let's not.
Santa Monica shoreline. That thing is raggedy. Mine too. All right, since you went there, look at it. I don't know what that's Marina Del Rey. Then you get over here, that's Venice, and then they go back. That's Redondo. What the hell? I ain't brushed it. I did nothing. I'm like, all them times I pulling that helmet off like this. Oh, yeah, okay, buddy.
My head, the whole neighborhood was coming. I had a hoop at the end of the side right there. I had kids coming from the entire neighborhood to play in my cul-de-sac.
I am with you, brother. Not against you.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the generosity. Wishing you nothing but success. And from behind the scenes, I'm admiring what you're doing. So thank you for the time. I appreciate you doing this. And I love being able to kind of listen to your story behind the scenes.
Oh, man, I appreciate it to the fullest. And just hearing that you're on your own path, man, tremendous respect for that, and all the best of luck and success. And this is not said in cliche. Anytime, since Sliwa, anytime, whether it's a topic, because it's funny, you said it earlier, and it's like, I'm not the one that rushes to these things, even though there are times where I'm like, people don't understand my workflow. They think I'm like looking for these topics. I'm like, man, I got 4 kids. I ain't doing none of that. Like during the day, I'm busy, bro. But I check a rundown at the end of the night before I go to bed. Say, oh, I'm going to do that tomorrow morning, whatever. Give it time to breathe. At first, I felt that urge, like, oh, God, I'm letting these topics get away and I could be trending. And now I was like, no. But every now and then, I'll be sitting here and something comes. I'm like, oh, I can do that right now in 10 minutes, whatever, right? But the point of it is, when you're doing something and you're like, yo, Wiley could help out on this or something. Because people, when there's a topic about ESPN or FS1 or them big dogs over there, oh my God, people, they don't even care about what I put out. They like, we're waiting. Like, go get it. I'm like, whatever. So anytime you're in that space, man, and you're just like, dog, this is a Wiley topic. Let him go get it. I'm here for you, big dog. Always.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that very much. All right. That is our time with Marcellus Wiley. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, for watching. Please subscribe to, of course, what Marcellus Wiley is doing. You could subscribe to this channel as well. Thank you all for being here. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And that is Marcellus Wiley. Thank you, sir.
Bah, my dog.